We all have these elements within us. The ability to be a perpetrator, bystander, or upstander. You have a choice, but how do you learn to make complicated choices? Facing history and ourselves teaches students to think for themselves and to widen their perspectives. Why is that so important? Because people make choices, and choices make history. We begin by acknowledging that history is the human story. And to understand it, we must first understand ourselves. A Facing History class might start by asking a student, what shapes who you are as an individual and as a community? An identity chart is one way to look at this. So what is Facing History's identity? For starters, we're a global education organization. From disturbing lessons of the Holocaust and other genocides to struggles for civil rights from Birmingham to South Africa, we trust students to wrestle with complex moments in human history and work to help them understand the range of human behavior. And through those studies, we seek to combat racism, anti-Semitism, prejudice, and stereotypes. And because we know that the lifeblood of democracy is active, informed citizens, we help young people become upstanders. To accomplish this, we provide teachers with professional development through workshops, seminars, and online learning, and mentor them throughout their careers. We create teacher resources such as lesson plans, publications, media, and more. Those teachers then reach 3 million middle and high school students worldwide. Facing History gets results that have been documented in more than 100 studies. 93% of Facing History students are more likely to recognize the dangers of racial or religious stereotyping. 83% are more likely to help if they see someone being bullied. And more than half of Facing History students are more apt to get involved in their school, community, or world. So what happens in a Facing History classroom to achieve such transformational results? Well, it's taught with a high standard of academic rigor, and there's lots of interaction. But the key to our success is in our approach to learning. Allow us to illustrate. Lesson 1. We promote creative solutions. Connect these 9 dots with 4 lines and don't lift your pencil. If you're like most people, you'll work within the box created by the dots. But to find the solution, you have to think outside the box. Facing History students are encouraged to think outside the constructs that have been created by norms, stereotypes, and dogma. Lesson 2. We teach students to think critically and independently. In a famous study, seminary students were sent to another building to give a talk about the Good Samaritan. Along the way, they encountered a man slumped in an alleyway. Overall, 40% stopped to offer help. When the students were told beforehand that they must hurry, only 10% stopped to help, and these were good people. Facing History students are taught to question their actions or inaction and to not blindly follow instruction. Lesson 3. We encourage questions and deep investigation. Pol Pot, Hitler, Stalin, Talat Pasha, Idi Amin. Is it enough to know the names of the dictators? Or do we dig deeper to determine the climate and causes that led to their rise to power, to avoid future crimes against humanity? Facing History students understand that while it's important to know facts and figures, change comes from asking questions and applying historical knowledge. So we've all seen the terrifying rise in hate groups and how the world is becoming increasingly polarized. And yet, we rarely learn civics, how to participate in communities, understand one another, or simply how to be more humane. Facing History does this. Right now, 30,000 teachers use Facing History materials in their classrooms. 3 million students each year are impacted. Impressive. To scale, here's what that looks like. If we want to create a world of thinking, involved, empathetic people, Facing History's reach is going to have to look a lot more like this. Help us. Tell people about Facing History. Tell every educator you know. Tell your colleagues, friends, and neighbors. Donate. With more money, we reach more teachers and students. Be generous. The greater Facing History's presence, the greater the opportunity we all have of living in a more just and humane world. The world needs Facing History, and we need you. Any questions?